Hello, this is Ken Ferrie with this week's Boats in the Field Report. Whoever was wishing for a white Christmas, I hope you're happy. Winter is here for sure, but look on the bright side, we have reached the winter solstice, so the days are going to start getting longer from here on out. Getting some good questions from those watching the Beyond the Basics series. For those of you who haven't finished watching it, all the sessions will be up until the end of December. Now, questions around 4R efficiency, and I think they're coming from both the phosphate and the potassium series. And some other growers actually calling in with the same question. Growers are asking if they pick up enough efficiency by using starter on the planter or strip-tilled fertilizer in a band, could they reduce their overall amount of fertilizer used? Now, in this time of high prices, can we cut back overall fertility, and again, waiting for those prices to go back down? The answer to this question is yes, and we showed you that in the phosphate series. 5 gallon of 1034O in zinc with the planter will out-yield 200 pounds of broadcasted DAP, which means that 20 pounds of phosphate as starter has more horsepower than 92 pounds of phosphate in the broadcast. Now, this horsepower is coming from the right place at the right time of our 4Rs, early in the season when the plant needs it, and you're trying to give it as big a push as you can. While this looks like we could get by with less fertilizer in the band, especially short term, it doesn't tell the whole story. Phosphate applications are as much about feeding the soil biology as they are the plant. Soils low in phosphorus tend to not only have a problem for the crop, but they have low energy for the microbes in the soil. It's a low energy environment. When you applied only 20 pounds of phosphate as starter, and let's say you harvest 250 bushel corn, and where you broadcast 200 pounds of DAP, you only produce 240 bushel corn, it would seem the extra P wasn't worth it. You just didn't get the push out of that 200 pounds of DAP. But we need to follow the math all the way out. 250 bushel corn removed 90 pounds of phosphate, and you only applied 20. So you lowered your soil reserves overall by 70 pounds. Now, where you put the 200 pounds of DAP, and let's say you raise a little less, 240 bushel corn, 240 bushel corn removes 85 pounds of phosphorus. So the 90 pounds of phosphorus that's coming in the DAP application will hold your P levels. Think of it this way. Every truckload of grain that leaves your farm is fertilizer going down the road. 1,000 bushel of corn, that's 350 pounds of phosphate, 250 pounds of potash. 1,000 bushel of beans, that's 750 pounds of phosphate, 1,150 pounds of K, that's leaving your farm. There's no magic dust or 4R treatment that's going to change these numbers. So while you may be able to rob from Peter to pay Paul with efficiencies from banding, it doesn't change the math in the end. Now, we know if we keep our truck engine tuned, keep our tires inflated to the right inflation, and drive 55 miles an hour instead of 75 miles an hour, we'll get better gas mileage. But if you drive her far enough, you're still going to run out of gas. Many customers could use the efficiency of 4R management to temporarily pull back on their fertilizer inputs without seeing a yield drop. When you're soil testing every 2 years, we can see when that tank is getting close to empty. that point when levels must be replenished or you're going to start to see yield losses. When growers ask this question but don't have a recent soil test, it's a little bit like Russian roulette. If the farm has been drained of fertility, banding and placing nutrients close to the plant will help. But remember, one of the 4 R's is right rate. Now, Jesus took a few fish and loaves and fed thousands of people. But unless you're buying your fertilizer or pixie dust from Jesus himself, I wouldn't count on this happening on your farm. Keep your farm in good shape fertility-wise, and it will allow you to step on the brakes when you need to get markets back in line. Doing this with added efficiency of banding, your fertility, and a soil test to guide you, like a fuel light in your truck, it will work. But eventually the math must work. Don't be fooled by 1 year's results. We're in the yield map meeting season right now. We're just getting a good start into the yield map meetings, but already we've seen some things starting to pop out. In the dry areas, we're seeing the L1 hybrids taking it on the chin. Not all of them, but the ones that are getting hit are L1s. We'll have a hybrid running 240, 250 in the same field. Another hybrid will run 2 to 220. Seeing 40 bushel swings on the good ground and the light ground. When we pull out the yearbook and check the hybrid rating, so far these hybrids that are taking the hit are the L1 hybrids. What we call an L1 hybrid are those hybrids that are when they're subject to stress from V6 to tassel, they'll shrink the length of the ear, most times cob and all. This summer, a lot of corn in the dry areas rolled for 3 weeks. Most of this corn kept growing at night. And my experience has told me that as long as the corn is still growing at night, when we get those dry conditions that cause it to roll during the day, there's more stress on the farmer than on the corn. We will see how this yield map season continues, but if this holds, I may have to modify that saying. Something like, if your corn is not an L1 and still growing at night, it's more stress on the grower than on the corn. 2 different growers took pictures of the ears. When they saw the hit in yield, they got out of the combine, looked at the stands, and took pictures of the ears. And like we would expect from an L1 hybrid, these ears were 20 to 25 kernels long. These hybrids truncated the ears to relieve stress during that dry period before tasseling. Unfortunately, when it started to rain after tassel, the kernels were already gone, and what little they gained in kernel depth didn't close the gap. Now, the odds of being dry enough to cause this and still end up with corn over 200 bushel is rare. I personally thought the rapid growth period was one of the more drought-proof times in corn production, a time when the corn can take some stress compared to, for instance, pollination and ear fill. I wouldn't throw these hybrids out of the lineup if it has a history of performing for you. You now know its weakness, so use this knowledge to place it better. If it is an upright leaf, don't put it on your droughty soils. If it's a pendulum leaf with good kernel depth, say able to produce a bushel on 55,000 kernels, keep your population low. Take some of that stress off. I expect we'll see some of these L1s show up in our hand harvest plots where 22,000 will be out yielding 36,000. You guys are doing a good job getting your yield data in. Keep it coming. Don't forget, our winter virtual college is coming up January 5th. This will be a virtual live event. We'll be doing question and answer segments as the day goes on. These sessions will be up for viewing for 2 weeks. The question and answer will be live, so if you want to catch that, you'll need to watch it live. But if you're viewing it later and you got questions, you can just email them in to us. Crop Tech customers, get in touch with the office to get registered. Growers who came to our summer event, you're already registered. Just look for the email for your login. Anybody else who wants to join us, just go to our website, click on the Winter College tab, and get yourself registered. You can still register for Beyond the Basics series. It will be up till the end of December. We here at Crop Tech want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Take this time to slow down, enjoy family and friends in good cheer. As usual, Crop Tech will be closed from Christmas to New Year's to let our employees enjoy their families as well. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.